Hey, what is up? Keasbey here. So we haven't gotten a new ban list yet, so I figured why not toss out one last love letter to this format and comment over another blind second Floowandereeze versus Kashtira matchup. So this one gets a little weird, but it has a lot to talk about, and I'm only looking at the one match today, so we're gonna deep dive pretty hard on it. Hopefully this is live before a ban list makes it irrelevant, so enjoy. But before you enjoy, don't forget to drop this video a like and subscribe to the channel for even more. And now, blind second Floowandereeze versus Kashtira. Okay, so our hand would be really great if we were going first, but we are going second, and going second against Kashtira is always a little bit of a dicey proposition. The infinite impermanence here is going to have to put in a lot of work, and we do have Pot of Prosperity to kind of dig for board breakers, but that's, again, not the best thing to do into a full Kashtira board, but hopefully that imperm will stop it. So let's see what happens. So we're going to fire off Infinite Impermanence on the Unicorn. Kashtira is kind of one of those decks that I prefer to try to stop as early as possible, because giving them space to run, they can really kind of get out of hand really fast. And hitting them with Imperm later in the turn as it goes on and they amass more resources becomes less and less impactful. Unfortunately for us, they do already have both of the relevant search targets in Theosis and Birth in their hand already, so this Imperm's really not doing much of anything in this situation. But had they not had those, it would have been really great. And our opponent's going to use the rare tuner part of Ash Blossom to go into a Baronne de Fleur play early. So that's going to insulate them from further interaction. They are going to use Birth to bring back Unicorn. Now they're going to fire off Theosis to go into Fenrir. And this is where our opponent does something a little bit strange. They're going to grab Tearlament's Kashtira here. So from this position, had they grabbed the Arise Heart, I don't believe with what they have, it would have really depended on the Pot of Prosperity. I don't think they had full Kashtira combo in the Risen Heart or Arise Heart. I always mix up those two names. Mind Hacker and Shangri-La. So I think they're just building a little bit of a lower board with what they have, and making the Baronne de Fleur initially did kind of divert from being able to build that full board as well. This is going to hit us for some resources and give them knowledge of the matchup though. So they're going to fire off that Pot of Prosperity. And they'll just go ahead and grab that enemy controller, set it, and pass. They are going to fire off in the standby phase Shangri-La to grab a Unicorn. No reason to grab a second Fenrir. It's a hard once per turn. So really the only relevant piece of interaction on board right now is Baronne de Fleur and kind of enemy controller. I'll explain why Fenrir's not going to be a big deal with this hand, and Unicorn obviously, yeah, banish our extra deck, doesn't matter. Okay, let's go. So something I do want to mention is we did win the die roll here and elected to go second. So I think that is going to influence the decision that our opponent's going to make in negating the Pot of Prosperity. They can safely assume from this position we don't have Dark Ruler no more. Something that they might have wanted to watch out for is evenly matched, but 6 cards off the top, 32 cards left in deck, there is a decent enough chance that we will find Dark Ruler no more or evenly matched, so trying to keep us off that is smart. And if we have evenly matched, we have evenly matched at this point. And something that is very, very much noting, Shangri-La is going to trigger because cards were banished face down because we paid the cost of Pot of Prosperity. So let's go off. So Birth is going to trigger, banishing 3 cards from our graveyard face down, which is going to trigger Shangri-La again. Fortunately, all we really need here is 2 zones, and they'll never get a chance to lock 4 of our zones. So they're going to fire off enemy controller here. Absolutely no reason to respond to that with anything. Let them take the Rabina. It's still going to trigger. We do have enough bodies. If we didn't have enough bodies, we would have to fire off an early advent here, but fortunately we had the Eaglin in hand. All we need is 2 bodies. So with Tucon, we're going to go ahead and grab that M-Pen. By the way, never forget you can banish M-Pen off of Magnificent Map. This was just to ensure that we could get an M-Pen and use our Eaglin search for Ryza, which we are going to need. So our opponent is going to target the Toucan with Fenrir. Had they hit it with the Fenrir, it would have banished face up because the condition of the birds leaving the field being banished face up does supersede them being banished face down by Fenrir's effect. However, I do want an additional body. They're using the Fenrir here now. They've used the enemy controller as well. So there's really not a lot that we have to worry about at this point. Plus, I do kind of want to maybe keep them off the knowledge that our small birds do banish face up, just in case that they aren't aware of that. So they are going to banish a double Azaeus from our extra deck face down via Unicorn, which will trigger Shangri-La one more time. But again, absolutely fine. We don't need the zones. Sure, we're going to banish that advent for later use. We are going to summon M-Pen here. And with the M-Pen, we'll obviously grab Dreaming Town. And we are going to summon Toucan. I think we completely forgot that we had already used Toucan's effect at this point. There's not really any reason to summon it here. Doesn't really matter in this scenario, but slight misplay on my part. And we'll get the Stree back, which, again, not a real reason to, because we're about to immediately banish it one more time. So we are now going to use our game mechanic normal summon to tribute summon for Rise of the Mega Monarch. This is going to be a rare chance to see us leaving Rise of the Mega Monarch on the field. So we're going to spin the Shangara back into the extra deck with the hand bounce effect of Ryza, and we are going to stack one unicorn and one enemy controller to the top of the deck, enemy controller being the next card that they are going to draw. End phase, we're going to get a Rabina back, and they are going to draw the enemy controller. Unfortunately, enemy controller is going to be a little bit live because they have birth to bring back either a unicorn or a Fenrir, but that's really not going to matter. We have an immediate answer to it. So they're going to go ahead and bring back the unicorn, and fortunately for us, unicorn is not an on-summon trigger effect. It is a spell speed 1 injection effect, so we are going to go ahead and respond with Dreaming Town. So we do know about the enemy controller, so we're kind of going to slow play this turn until they use enemy controller, just in case we don't have our Miss Valley Apex Avian alive by the time that they do it. Fortunately though, them taking anything with enemy controller isn't going to stop these effects from resolving. It'll just remove a body, and Unicorn is going to trigger also, knocking another card out of our extra deck. Not a big deal. They're going to take out access code. Alright, so we'll go ahead and grab that M-Pen back, tribute summon for the M-Pen, and we're just going to hold the Dreaming Town, and we'll fire it off now with Apex Avian. And at this point, our opponent's going to fire off enemy controller, attempt to take the M-Pen, but we'll just go ahead and negate with Apex Avian, and our opponent will surrender, seeing that we now have game. Alrighty, let's take a look at game 2. Okay, going into game 2, little bit of an awkward moment. We decided to go second. Our opponent is forcing us to go first. So we really have absolutely no plays. We could normal summon the Eaglin to do a little bit of deck thinning, but no real reason to. We're just going to go ahead and pass to our opponent. Fortunately, our opponent's hand isn't that great as well. So they're going to normal summon the Fenrir. They're going to, or special summon the Fenrir, normal summon the Ghost Bell, make a Baronne de Fleur early. They're going to special summon out the Scareclaw and hit us for a lot of damage. We're going to hold that evenly matched for our own turn. They're going to set an enemy controller and pass. So fortunately, we ripped map off the top. All right, we deserve it for that opening hand. We deserve a little bit of luck. Our opponent does have Droll Lockbird, though, which is going to be an issue. We're going to go ahead and fire off that evenly match. They're going to stop it with Baronne de Fleur. Yeah, I mean, they're trading off the Baronne de Fleur negate to keep the enemy controller online. I don't necessarily know how worth it that is. It may have been better to have actually just let evenly resolved and have kept the Baronne de Fleur as an active negate, which would have completely stopped our plays in their tracks on the Magnificent map, but fortunately they didn't do it. They may have also felt pretty secure that they can stop our plays, having Droll and Lockbird in hand as well. So we're going to go ahead and fire off map. And we are about to get hit with Droll, unfortunately. And there it is. Droll and Lockbird on Summon of Rabina. Fortunately, we have a game mechanic normal summon to go into Ryza. So we are going to spin Ryza back to our hand this time. And our opponent is going to enemy controller taking the Ryza. Hey y'all, Future Keasbey here, mid-editing, and I've just realized why they'd used the enemy controller here. It was in order to get the Scareclaw into the graveyard so that they could revive it next turn with the Baronne, normal summon one of their ghost spells, and then proceed to make a new Baronne. Sorry, did not realize this until just now while I was editing, so I want to go back and add in that note. Well played, opponent. I see what you were doing there. So Ryza is going to return to our hand. Enemy controller will go to the graveyard instead, but we have stacked a Ghost Bell to the top of the deck, which based on everything we have in our hand is fairly useless, and we can potentially chain block the Ryza from that Ghost Bell depending on how the turn goes. Also, by the way, we don't really have to address the Baronne de Fleur because it's once per face upon the field negation. So they would have to cycle it into the graveyard, get something back, which is going to ultimately be the Scareclaw, and then normal summon another tuner and try to do it again, but we have Dreaming Town and map to address that situation. And there's the ghost bell we gave them, and there's exactly what we thought they were going to do. They're going to bring back the Scareclaw. On normal summon of ghost bell, we are going to go off to the races. Alright, Eagle and Rubina, no droll this time. Looking good. Rubina, we're just going to go ahead and grab a Stree. And we're going to go into M-Pen here. We are going to go into M-Pen here just specifically to get a search. And there's Rise of the Mega Monarch. So we're actually going to leave Ryza on the field. The reason is we only have one live bird in hand, so we have one additional normal summon to get to our M-Pen. So we are going to have to tribute the Mega Monarch, and this is going to keep our Dreaming Town alive. So they are actually going to go ahead and Ghost Spell the Ryza, negating it. But fortunately, we now can do our Dreaming Town play, and since Ghost Spell is a hard once per turn, Stree has nothing to worry about. And there's the Stree. We'll go ahead, banish out that M-Pen for later, and we're going to go into Mist Valley, Apex, Avion here. So we're doing this because nothing in the graveyard is relevant. We're about to flip these two face down because they're about to summon this turn. They can't be flipped back face up. And I just want to have an answer potentially to whatever this last card in hand is. We didn't know it was Lava Golem, but if it were anything particularly relevant, Pot of Prosperity, the Field Spell, anything like that, I just want the Apex Avion on board to answer that. Plus, we have enough going off that we don't really need the second M-Pen search here. And there's everything face down. Our opponent will pass back to us. And we accidentally played around Lava Golem. And at this point, it is a very easy walk to game. And at that, our opponent will go ahead and surrender. Okay, so that was blind second Floowandereeze versus Kashtira. One last one before we get a ban list, which has to be coming up soon. Though, I don't think Kashtira is going to die to the list. I'm about 100% sure it will take some form of hit, so I'm just sneaking this last video in before then, or at least I'm going to try to. I know there was some weirdness on the Kashtira board, but I thought they did make some cool plays worth showing off, and making the blind second deck go first in a situation where all things indicated we'd be going second was a pretty clever move on their part. Fortunately for them, our hand was absolutely not ready to go first, but luck kind of evened that out on both sides for us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel for even more, and I will catch you all later.